Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Ayurveda Masterclass. I am so happy that you're able to take the time to get deeper into what this science is and see the ways that it can help and support your overall health. So, we're gonna get into this. Before we do it, though, I just want to remind you that I already sent you a couple of things that are gonna be helpful for you, a couple of guides. One of those are on doshas, and then there's another one on the a seasonal guide for Ayurveda. And those are gonna make more sense as we go. I also sent you some information about the doshas. Again, all of it is gonna make more sense as we go and as we learn more about this. Okay. Now, before we go deeper into what Ayurveda is and the ways that it can help you, we're going to start talking about me and telling you exactly who I am and how I got here. So, right now, my name is Vanessa, as you know, and I help women caught up on the trial of stress, hormonal imbalance, and sugar craving to find the root cause so they can balance their hormones, conquer their cravings, and find joy in their lives again. But this is now. Before that, I was a mess. I was a really huge mess, and I'm going to tell you why. When I was 17 years old, I was diagnosed with resistance to insulin and hormonal imbalance. I was dealing with symptoms such as slow digestion, constipation, cystic acne, premenstrual symptoms, constant mood swings, excessive cravings to sugar, insomnia, and many others. I followed my doctor's advice and took medications for about 2 years. And while it helped lower the blood sugar, it really gave me a lot of side effect symptoms and other problems that I didn't even know I will experience. I started to be afraid of sugar, carbs, and food in general. And even though my blood sugar was lower, my acne, insomnia, and PMS symptoms didn't go away. I didn't want to take birth control to manage it because I did that for so many years before this moment. And it just made things worse. Whenever I tried to get off it, it just made my symptoms worse. And I felt like I was trapped on taking birth control for the rest of my life. So I didn't want to go back to that. After the 2 years, the doctor told me my body created resistance to the medication I was taking and recommended a new one. This worried me a lot. So I asked him for how much longer I will need to take the medicine, and he said that I'll need to take it for the rest of my life. And that killed me. That day, I decided to take my health back. There has to be another way, and I had to find it. I didn't want to spend the rest of my life being like this, feeling sick, feeling miserable, dealing with all this whole list of symptoms that the medicine wasn't honestly taking care of anyway. So I picked up what I knew will be my last prescription and started my journey towards health. I experimented with many remedies, but Ayurveda was the only thing that not only helped me, but also gave me the words to describe what was going on in my body. The more I learned, the more sense it made. I was so excited. I decided to get certified as an Ayurvedic consultant. And through my studies, mentoring, and self experimentation, I was able to heal myself without pills. I changed my diet. I became loving and compassionate towards myself. I took care of my mental health, and I even started my spiritual practice. After all of this, I knew I needed to share it with others. I found joy, health, and my purpose thanks to Ayurveda. And now I'm going to share some amazing tools that are going to change your life if you allow it. Okay. So now that we got that covered, let's talk about what Ayurveda is. I hope you are just as excited as I am for this. So Ayurveda is an Asian healing science created in India. It is a holistic approach to health that focuses on balancing your mind, body, and spirit. It is personalized, meaning that there's more than one way to heal, which is actually my favorite part. Ayurveda looks at the root problem, while the Western medicine treats the symptoms and ignores the root cause. And that's exactly what happened to me. During the time that I was under the treatment, my doctor really took a look at the symptoms and tried to fix the sugar, the excess sugar in my blood. But that wasn't the root. The root was something deeper inside of me that had to do with the way I was eating, my relationship with food, my relationship with people, my relationship with myself. That was the root cause of the problem. And I couldn't do anything to improve until I look at it. I faced my fear. I faced the thing, the root that was causing all of these decisions that I made around my own illness. And then after, only after I really took the moment to heal those, my body was able to heal too. Now, there's something very important about Ayurveda that is almost like the basic thing, and these are the doshas. Now, the doshas are the energetic forces of Ayurveda that lives in all of us in different amounts. They represent the elements and qualities of the world. And there are three doshas: Vata, which represents air and space; Pitta, which represents fire and water; and Kapha, which represents earth and water. Balanced doshas lead to a healthy and happy body, mind, and spirit. Now, the challenge is that there's no way your doshas are going to stay balanced all the time. Stress, seasons, moon cycles, time of the day, food, drinks, people, everything you encounter can and will change your doshas. The more you do to balance your doshas, the easier it will be to maintain your health. And there are different ways to find out your dosha constitution, but the quicker is through a dosha quiz. And I thought it will be fun to complete a short version of it together. So grab a pencil, grab a paper, so you can write down your answers. And let's just look at it before we go deeper into what each dosha represents. So like I mentioned, we're going to be doing the dosha quiz. And this is a very short version of it. The actual quiz has many other questions, and it covers from your body type to your appetite to your bowel movement to your mental state. It covers a lot of things. And right now I'm just going to give you like a sense of how it looks like and the things that we look when we're trying to figure out your dosha constitution. So what I want you to do with this quiz is to write the options that are more relatable to you. Maybe, for example, with digestion, maybe you do experience bloating, gas, and constipation for some time, but you also tend to have diarrhea or burning sensations after eating another times. So it is okay that you write both Vata and Pitta options. It is okay even if you identify with the three of them. I just want you to take note or which ones sound more familiar to you and your body. And at the end, we're just going to count how many V's, how many P's, and how many K's. And that's going to give us an idea of, first, which is your dominant dosha right now. And second, how are the other doshas playing a role in your body and in your mind? Okay, let's begin then. First, with your body size. Vata tends to have a very slim and thin body. And they even have a hard time gaining weight. That will be the number one thing for a Vata. They have a really hard time gaining weight no matter how much they eat, no matter what they eat. Now, for a Pitta person, Pittas have a medium-sized body. They're not too big, they're not too slim, they're not too tall, they're not too short. They're like a medium average person. They don't have a hard time gaining weight. They don't have a hard time losing the weight. They even have an easy time building some muscle. Now, for a Kapha person, they have a large build. And I'm talking about just a large person, big bones, big joints, a person who's not necessarily overweight, although that can also be one of the characteristics, but it's just like a big person. This is a healthy person, but it's just big. Now for the skin, Vatas tend to have a very thin, dry, and rough skin. Now for Pitta skin, they tend to have a very smooth, oily, and warm skin. So for example, if you touch your arm right now, or maybe your leg, and you feel your skin warm, or your body in general is warm, that might be a characteristic of a Pitta person. Now, for a Kapha skin, we're talking about a very thick, oily, and cool skin. So this is a type of skin that is cold to the touch, or maybe cool to the touch. It is oily, but it's not as oily as a Pitta. And it is a thick skin, maybe meaning that you can't see your veins. That's a good reference of that. You can't, no matter when you turn your arm up and you try to look at your veins, you can't really see them. That's a good sign of a Kapha type of skin. Then we have your hair. Vatas tend to have a dry, brittle, and thin hair. And they're normally people who have naturally brown or black hair. Pittas normally have a straight and oily hair, and they tend to be blonde, gray, or red hairs. While Kapha have a thick, curly, oily, and wavy hair, and they cover all the colors. Vata's appetite is irregular and sometimes non-existent. These are the type of people who, for example, don't eat breakfast because they don't feel hunger, but they tend to eat another type of the day, or maybe they can easily forget to eat altogether. Pittas have a strong appetite and they need to eat on time every single time, otherwise they get hungry. Kaphas have a slow appetite and they don't need too much food to feel satisfied. And even though it's slow, it is constant. So even though it may not be as huge or as prominent as a Pitta appetite, it's still there. You can feel hunger, but you eat a couple of little things and you feel satisfied. Now for digestion, Vatas tend to bloat often and they get also gas and constipation. The digestion is very irregular and some people might even feel that they're not digesting food properly, or maybe they see pieces of food in their stool. Now for a Pitta person, the digestion is very regular, but they can suffer from diarrhea or burning sensations after eating a specific food, like for example, spicy foods. Now Kapha have a slow digestion. Sometimes they get constipation and sometimes they cough, like a mucus coughing after eating, indicating that maybe there's not a lot going on. The digestive fire is not strong enough to digest whatever you're eating. Now for the mental activity, Vatas are always active, always doing something, always trying to get away from the bother of life. They tend to be very creative people as well. They love painting, they love art, they love anything artistic that they can use to express themselves. Pittas are very moderate with their mental activity. They're not the type of people who think a lot of things at the same time. They are able to focus on very specific tasks. They are able to think deeply, but not obsessively, of like maybe Vata might be suffering from that. They tend to think obsessively about things. Pitta is more centered. They can easily think about something, solve their problems, and then move on and go to the next task. Kapha's mental activity is slow and dull, and sometimes they find themselves with no motivation to do things. And this means that they don't have a lot going on mentally. I mean, the mental activity is not flashing in front of them. It's not like they're not able to focus on anything. It's that they just don't usually have the mental space to think about a lot of things. So they're not just going as quickly as on a Vata mind or a Pitta mind. Now with the emotions, Vatas tend to suffer from anxiety, fear, uncertainty, but they are very flexible people when it comes to emotions. Pittas get to feel anger, hate, and jealousy, but they're very determined. They are the control people. They are the boss, they are the leaders. Kaphas are calm and they are huggers. These are the type of people you just want to hug because they're just so loving and beautiful. But they can get greedy and they have a problem with attachment. Now let's talk about nails. Vata people tend to have very thin, dry nails and that break very easily. Pittas have sharp nails that are flexible and you can see the pink color when you look at it. And Kapha have very thick, oily, smooth, and hard to break nails. On the physical activities, Vata is always active. This is something that I mentioned before when talking about the mental activity. Just like in the mental activity, on the body and the level of energy is very similar. Vatas are always looking for something to do. They tend to have many hobbies. They tend to want to go for run every single day. They tend to want to exercise, to do things, to move their bodies in different ways. Pitta is more moderate. They don't have a lot of energy. They don't have very little energy. They are right on the center. Kaphas tend to be very sedentary. They love to sleep in, and they often need a lot of motivation to get off the chair and do something. Normally, a Vata person is going to be the one asking the Kapha person to go to the gym with them, and the Kapha people, because they don't want to upset the Vata person, are going to go with them, and that's how they normally have their physical activity going on. Now, talking about the sleep, Vata people have a hard time to fall and stay asleep. These are the people who suffer from insomnia. Pitta people, they don't really need a lot of sleep, but they always feel rested. Even though they don't have many hours, the quality of the sleep is very high. Now, Kapha people have a deep and prolonged sleep, and sometimes it's really hard to wake them up. Now, with the speech, Vata people have a rapid and unclear speech. It's like as if their mind is going faster than their mouth, and sometimes they can get very confused and they don't get to express themselves as efficiently. Now, Pitta people have a very sharp, assertive, but aggressive speech at times because they just go right to the moment, right to the point of the conversation. They don't like to waste a lot of time. They just want things the way they want, and they are very direct. Now, Kapha people is very slow and monotonous speech, but it's also very caring. I don't want you to think that Kapha is just this dull little being that you have inside of you, that is just this lazy side of you. No. Kapha is very loving, very caring, and it is beautiful when balanced. Now, the financial aspect of every dosha. Vata people tend to spend money very quickly, and it's just really hard for them to save. Pitta people spend in luxuries. They just want everything fancy, everything with the brand. And Kapha people tend to be the rich people. That rich friend that you have that have a savings account that you wouldn't even dream of, because it's easy for them to save and they only spend on things that they need. Okay, So now what I want you to do is to count how many V's, how many P's, and how many K's you have. And this is going to give you an idea of which one is your dominant dosha and how the other doshas are playing around in your body and in your mind. And while you're doing this, I just want to take another moment to delve even a little bit deeper, go deeper into the dosha, so you have a better understanding on this. And by the way, I shared with you already the guides on the 3 doshas and the 3 general recommendations for them. The recommendations are going to make more sense later on, but the description of the doshas is going to give you an idea of the things that are reflected in you. Because maybe you have some characteristic of Vata, but also the Pitta and some of Kapha, and that's completely normal. Remember that we all have the 3 of them, but in different quantities. So let's talk about Vata for a moment. A person who has a Vata dominant dosha is a very creative, individualistic, and expansive person. They tend to have a multi-dimensional mind, and they love a really good conversation. They are idealistic, and they are committed to make the world a better place. They are the people who have the brilliant ideas. They are the ones who create the solutions, the very creative solutions. They're thinking outside of the box. But they do also tend to overthink and overanalyze situations, which creates the anxiety that they suffer from. The hardest thing for a Vata to do is to turn off the chatter in their mind and just get into the bodies, just get into doing something else. They live in the clouds, they live a lot in their minds, and it's hard for them to just come back to this moment and realize that even though it's beautiful to be receiving all of these messages from the universe and have all of these ideas and all of these solutions, you need to stay in the ground, you need to stay in the now in order to transmute those ideas into a reality. Vatas can be both introvert and extrovert. They're highly social people, but also need time on their own to recharge and just to be with themselves. If they are around people for too long, they can become overwhelmed and shut down. It just goes back to the anxiety portion. Vatas are inspired to create something larger than themselves and experience everything in life. If they do want to experience everything, they are not afraid to try something new, and they are not afraid to start over. They love traveling. They love meeting new people. They love learning new things. Their curiosity is endless. And this is one of their biggest gifts. When in balance, Vatas are social, inspiring creators with a strong vision for the future. When out of balance, Vatas become easily overwhelmed, giving up on projects they were once so passionate about, and giving up on things that are important to them. It's important that Vatas focus on one task at a time so they can finish what they begun without obsessing over it. Because sometimes another thing that Vata can do is obsessing to finish one specific thing, but they get bored, they get annoying, they don't like it anymore. They need that flexibility in their lives to say, even though I'm working on, I don't know, making this sweater, I also have the freedom to go draw something and work on another project. So it is a balance between focusing on one thing at a time, but allowing that flexibility that's going to keep them creative. Now, I'm just going to tell you some general recommendations to keep Vata balance. There are many more, but these are the most general things that can work for most people. It's important for a Vata to keep warm and to stay calm. It's important for them to avoid raw food and cold foods. Avoid extreme cold temperatures, eat warm foods and spices, and keep a regular routine. Now let's look at Pitta. Pitta is a very interesting dosha, and I'm going to tell you why. Pittas are very ambitious. They're driven and goal-oriented. They are task-oriented and very realistic. They want things done as quickly and as efficiently as possible. They are excellent entrepreneurs and managers who think well on their feet. They love challenges and they can be bored easily when something becomes really easy for them. They are sharp-minded and they are the voice of the group. So these are the people who are always planning on what we're going to do on the weekend. They are the ones who lead the group into the different activities that they're going to do. They are that person in your workforce that is just standing up for adjusting and talking to people and making sure everybody feels okay in the team. This really is the leader. This is the leader side of everybody. But they can fail into the trap of perfectionism, which can create irritation and excessive anger, and it can be paralyzing. Just think about it. If you're trying to make something perfect before putting it out there, you're never going to put it out there because it's impossible to make something perfect. But Pitta can get very obsessive with this idea of making everything perfectly well. And this creates a never-ending cycle of expectation that often cannot be met by themselves or others. They constantly feel let down by others because they have not matched the high standard they've set for themselves, which can make Pitta-dominant people, very lonely at times. They work well under pressure, and they will go into overdrive to get the job done, which can be very harmful. These are the people that overschedule themselves, and they feel exhausted at the end of the week. Pittas are very communal and loving. They want to be part of something larger than themselves, whether that's a team, school, or group of friends, or maybe a company or a culture. They are motivating by creating change and aren't afraid of the hard work that comes behind it. When balanced, Pittas are powerful. They are achievers, they are leaders, and they are capable of great things. When out of balance, Pitta types are irritable, they are impatient, perfectionism, and they have a hard time finding satisfaction. It's important for Pittas to focus less on the external achievements and more on the internal peace. Now, let's look at the general balancing list for a Pitta person. It's important for them to avoid excessive heat, avoid excessive oil and excessive steam, limit the salt intake, and eat cooling, non-spicy foods. It's good for them to drink cooling but not iced drinks. Think about, for example, mint tea. Even though it is a tea that is warm, it has a very cooling effect in the body. And it's good for them to exercise during the cooler part of the day. Now, let's talk about kaphas. Now, kaphas, like I said, they're very pleasant, calm, good-natured people who can easily get along with anybody. They are that friend in your group they're just great listeners. You love talking to them because they just want to be there for you. They are that shoulder that you used to cry on. They are that people who hug you when you need it the most. They recharge you with their loving character. Kapha prefers lasting friendships and relationships, and they don't like putting themselves out of their comfort zone, and they don't like drama either. It's very stressful for their bodies. They will rather stay at home and be comfortable than go out and risk not having a good time. They don't really have a strong need of adventure and challenge. They just like where they are right now. They like their cozy house, they like their cozy drinks and their cozy blankets and their cozy books. They're just very comfortable with themselves. They are funny, loving, and sweet. They're just the type of people you want to be around because they just have a very loving energy. However, Kaphas often have troubles opening up to others, which can be very problematic because these are the type of people who are going to give everything to you, but they're very shy when it comes to themselves. They don't want to trouble you with their problems. So you have a lot going on, honey. Let me be that shoulder you need to cry on. Let me be that person who supports you through this. You don't need my drama. You don't need my problems. That's Kapha. Because of this, they tend to suppress their emotions and just focus on the role of supporting their family and their friends. They think if they don't hold it together for everybody else, the world is going to fall apart. They keep their problems to themselves and they'll mask it with a smile. Although they don't show it a lot, Kaphas are often sad on the inside, especially when they're not sharing their feelings or their problems with anybody else. And even though they have a lot of endurance, it can also backfire and it can keep them in situations that don't make them happy, like in jobs for years, even though they don't want to be in anymore. Maybe in relationships, even though the relationship is no longer serving them. Or maybe it's just a friendship. They don't really like these friends, but there's no way they're going to let them go. And this is where the problem of attachment comes for Kapha. Out of all the doshas, Kapha types are the most prone to self-indulgent behavior, such as overeating, oversleeping, and laziness. They are most likely to binge eating as they use food to deal with their emotions. And many Kaphas are overweight because of this emotional dependency on food. These extra pounds cause even more heaviness and just creates a cycle where kapha can't really break through and it just repeats itself. When in balance, kaphas are calm, content, and stable individuals who can bring people together with their friendly and loving nature. When out of balance, kaphas can become lazy, self-indulgent, depressed, and resistant to positive changes. It's important for kaphas to attend their own needs as much as they do to others. If they're constantly giving, they can end up feeling emotionally depleting, leading to binge eating, loneliness, and depression. They are loving to everybody, but they have to be loving to themselves too. Now, to the list of simple ways that a kapha person can do to balance the dosha can be to get plenty of exercise, avoid heavy foods, keep active, vary your routine, avoid dairy, avoid ice foods and drinks, fatty foods and oily foods, and eating light and dry foods. Now, let's talk a little bit more about how imbalanced doshas look like. For Vata, when imbalanced, this looks like having constant fear and loneliness, chronic constipation, bloating, excessive dry skin, anxiety, insecurities, difficulties with commitments, premenstrual cycle symptoms, an hyperactive mind that is not even letting you go to sleep, and difficulty calming down. An extreme version of a vata imbalance will be, for example, a panic attack. For pitta, when out of balance, they can become obsessive perfectionists. They can experience a lot of anger and frustration, burning sensation after eating, being irritable and mean to other people. They can be very controlling. They can also suffer from premenstrual symptoms. They deal with a lot of inflammation, whether it is internal or external, like, for example, acne. That's a very common sign of an out of balance pitta. And an extreme version of this will be, for example, having anger issues, like severe anger issues when you even have to take a class for anger management. Now for kapha, when out of balance, they tend to be obese and have a hard time losing the weight. They may suffer from diabetes, hypertension, people pleasing, greed, attachment, lethargy, and excessive sleep. An extreme version out of balance kapha will be depression. Now that we look at the doshas and we have a better understanding of your dosha constitution, we have a better understanding of what dosha means and how they look like in the body and in the mind, we can start talking about the lifestyle that you can have through Ayurveda and how this lifestyle is going to help you not only balance your doshas, but also help you understand your body and your mind even more. Now, the key is consistency. And it's important to know that even though your mind loves freedom, your body loves and needs the routine. Your body needs to know that at 6 a.m. in the morning, you're going to wake up, you're going to go to the bathroom, and you're going to have the bowel movement. It needs to know that that's going to happen. Otherwise, the body's going to go into the stress mode. And that's where the problems start. Ayurveda is not only about what you eat, but also about finding your own unique way to live your life. This is a lifestyle that opens the door to self-love, true happiness, and motivation. You'll get to know yourself in a way no one has, and you'll get to adopt the habits you need to succeed in everything you do. This is exactly what happened to me, and it is available to you too. We start building your Ayurvedic lifestyle by picking healthy habits that you like, work for you, and support your doshas. Ayurveda provides general guidelines for each dosha and season, just like how the ones that we saw before this. Like I mentioned before, the dosha changes just like the seasons. So don't feel like you're only going to be able to make one routine and stay with that for the rest of your life. The routine is going to change as the season changes, as your needs changes. The important thing is that some things are prevalent in your routine, like for example, maybe waking up every day at the same time, or maybe every day having the same warm drink that is going to help you with digestion. When building your routine, I want you to think a couple of things. What you would like this routine to look like, the ways this routine is going to support your doshas and support your lifestyle, and whether or not it makes sense to your life right now. Just to give you an example, my perfect routine starts at 5 in the morning. We go to the bathroom, we prepare ourselves, clean ourselves, and then go on the mat. And in this version of the routine, I do at least 30 minutes of yoga. I do at least 10 minutes of meditation. I do tapping. I maybe read something or just relax and then have my morning drink and then go for the shower and start my day. Reality is that I actually wake up at 5:30, maybe 5:45, because it's really hard for me to wake up that early. And even though it may look different on the sense of the time that I'm waking up, I do try to touch on the points that are important to me. So even instead of doing 30 minutes of yoga, I may do 10 or 15. Instead of meditating for 10 minutes, I may meditate for 5. And so on, just to give you an example. So you can play with this as much as you want. Now, I'm going to show you the list, and these are very general tips that everybody can benefit from. What I want you to do is to take a look at the list and try to pick at least 3 of these tips. so you can start implementing them in your life starting tomorrow. You are going to see the difference in the way you're feeling and the way your mind is working, and even the way your body responds to all of this. Remember, the tip is consistency. You have to be consistent in not only on this, on everything that you do if you want to see the results that you're wishing for. Some of the general tips are drinking warm water with lemon and salt in the morning, meditation, eating your meals at the same time every day, drinking herbal teas throughout the day, golden milk at night, morning movement like yoga or exercise, oil massage or dry brushing, no food after 6 p.m., waking up with the sunrise, showering at the end of the day, breathing exercises, tongue scraping, doing things that make you happy every day, going to sleep before 10 p.m., and meditate or read something before bed. There are also many others tips and recommendations that I can give you, but really the ones that I think are the most, I don't want to say the most important, but the ones that everybody can benefit from, to me, are going to be drinking the warm water with lemon and salt in the morning, having any type of movement in the morning, whether it's yoga, exercise, Pilates, whatever you want to do, just move your body. Some form of meditation and breathing exercise, even if it's just for 1 minute, even if it's just listening to your favorite song without thinking about anything else. The oil massage, or if you have, for example, dry skin, oil massage is going to be great. If you tend to have an oily skin, or if you tend to have problems with circulation, dry brushing is going to be beautiful in the morning. Eating every day at the same time, going to bed before 10 p.m., tongue scrapping, and one that I didn't mention here that is going to be a bonus is going to be oil pulling. You can find more information about that online. Well, it's been a journey. We've learned so much. You'll learn about Ayurveda. You'll learn about the doshas. We discovered your dasha constitution, and we went deep into what each dosha means and what they represent in your body and in your mind. So now the last question is why? Why Ayurveda? Ayurveda has a special place in my heart. Both Ayurveda and yoga saved my life. Ayurveda was the missing piece in my journey. And in a time where I felt Western medicine failed me, Ayurveda came and showed me another way, and it empowered me to become my own healer. This is one of the oldest healing science in history, and it has so much to offer even now, especially now. It's natural, it is intuitive, familiar, easy, and gentle. It accepts the fact that we are all different, and it helps us connect with Mother Nature and ourselves in a profound way. Ayurveda helped me heal my resistance to insulin and balance my hormones without pills, without the Western advice. It gave me my life back. And I'm hoping that from this lesson, from this masterclass, you get to find that freedom too. When people ask me why Ayurveda, my response is because it makes sense. In a world where we use pills to cover symptoms, Ayurveda just makes sense. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I hope you learned something new, and I hope this inspired you to look at your own routine, to look at your body, to look at yourself, and see the ways that this practice can support you even more. Now, let's just cover the things that I sent you. I sent you the Doshas General Guide, and I also sent you the Ayurvedic Seasonal Guide. The doshas general guide is going to help you make more sense of everything that we discussed about the doshas and how they play a role in your life. The Ayurvedic seasonal guide is going to help you with that routine that I mentioned that changes with each season and with each lifestyle that you have. This is going to help you because depending on the season, some things may change in your routine. And lastly, a free 30-minute consultation that you are able to schedule now if you haven't already. This is going to be an opportunity to look at your doshas, to answer any questions you may have, and to go deeper into some of the things that we talk about. I hope you learned something new. I hope you love this practice of Ayurveda just as much as I do. And I hope you get advantage of the 30 minutes consultation. Remember to let me know what you thought about this class, what you thought about the concept, and let me know if you have any questions. I would love to answer them, whether it is on during the consultation or maybe on social media. We'll see. Have a wonderful day, my lovelies, and thank you.